Okay, entering into this new turn, and yes, we went over the events and everything at the end of the last video. I know that seems weird, but it just seems to flow better to me. On the bright side, I'm right up here very soon afterwards. My battery isn't even full yet. I'm looking at the Austrian position, and it is troublesome. That Burgundian alliance, Burgundian succession that's going to happen, there's nothing I can do to fix it. I cannot create a marriage. And people are going to get territory within the Holy Roman Empire. Now, that will obviate any possibility of defend the empire working, because no HRE province is owned by non-HRE opponents. Of course, the HRE could get decreased in size, and then I defend it. So I guess there's some possibility there. But I'm very troubled by what I see. So I'm going to have to look at the HRE rules. We'll see if I can glean anything right away here. Area leaving the HRE is what we're kind of worried about here. There we go. If all the provinces in an HRE area are owned by external realms with their capital located outside the HRE, the area will automatically leave and get a not HRE token. This is going to cost me some imperial influence. This is problematic. Now, Savoy and Franche-Comté are in the same area, so that will not completely leave, but it'll deflect my capability. And some of the territories up here in the Netherlands are also sharing, so I don't think there's anything I'm going to lose right away. But by not losing stuff, it means defending the empire becomes impossible. So that's troublesome there. And I'll start losing authority based on that, if they do leave. King Albert's legacy, oh boy. I just don't know how I'm going to manage any of this stuff. As Austria they got knocked on their back foot already. Now I have this nice commercial growth that could help me develop into a more powerful nation that could exert its power to some extent. So that's kind of where I'm thinking, is doing reforms, using some of these cubes and such not to try to empower the Austrians so that they can take back some control. Currently they're at negative prestige. They've got an army that's quite large because of their imperial power, and an income that's not bad, but a lot of problems facing me right now. In order to improve my trade capabilities, I'm going to discard a couple of these, $3. And I could either just increase a city, which is of value, there's no question to that, but instead I'm going to increase a trade space and expand some of the trade over here in Vienna upward. And I don't have a development card. You might think this is, but there's a specific type of card over here titled development. I had to check that to make sure. And that gets me one move. I still have enough to fire off and increase stability. No, shit. Maybe if I reorganize, I will. I want to get some of these cubes off there, so I'm not limited in cubes either. I like where I'm at with the polls here. Yes, I could trigger my event, and I want to do that eventually. kind of don't like the idea of someone else doing it because they could pick the wrong event, right? But I also want to do other things before I set up for that and go to war with that. I'm thinking that increasing my stability, yet another, might be of value. That currently would cost me 5, which I don't have and really can't do. So that's out of the question. Spy Network, this was a shitty-ass card to have. You should never have one of these, I think. I'm sitting on all this stuff that's going to cost me a couple of diplomacy each to fire off. And most of it is just nastiness on other people. I thought these would be cool because they reduce the cost of some other cards and stuff, and a couple of people have picked them up, both Poland and France, I believe. And I'm just finding it really hard to justify spending to get these cubes back, and it really kind of sucks. My own cards, a Royal Marriage, you know, useful, and I want to play it, but where do I want to play it? Well, honestly, I want to play it on the Knights, but not yet, not till the event is played. Once the event is played, I can do that. The Inspired Leadership will be used when I'm in military position. I could draw cards, I could do a war tax. This doesn't require you to be at war, but it creates some money. I'm kind of feeling like I just want to do a trade action, generate a little bit more money to go into that war situation, because I don't have anything that's really synergized to operate correctly. So I'll do that. Chances are I'm just getting $2 off my cube, which sucks. And indeed, that's all I was able to get off of it. I think I didn't have Kiev. Hold on. Novgorod here. Yeah. You know, the Baltic Sea, whatnot, but I have no ships, so nothing came of that. I got a couple of bucks, spent a cube, which is kind of was the point, is I want to play out those cubes. I actually think I did not spend the cube. I should have. And we move to the Turks. I feel like I'm kind of bumbling around again. I have a problem. I'd like to play this, but I can't because it requires a stability of 0 or better. And I don't have anything that's going to get me there. So I'm going to spend, I think, the 4 to increase my stability. This is problematic because what I'd like to do, I'd like to fabricate some claims. That'll cost me 2. You know, why don't I just fucking do that instead? I'm going to fabricate claims to roads. I don't like doing this. I like being able to get my own claims where I can. Oh, wait. Roads is part of this. I don't have to. Holy shit. Give me those cubes back. That's excellent. Okay. So I'm in a position where I could launch my Navy. I can combine this, put a light ship in here. I'm not thrilled about it, but it's okay. And put this here. It's actually in the port. This is not its own sea. This is an area. What do I want to do? So I can declare war on roads. Is that what I want to do? This could carry 6 armies if I set this out to sea. 6 armies. That would not be a bad naval move. Do I want to do that first, though? Right? God. This would be useful towards getting the mercantile capability, so I could spend 2, but I can't do it because I don't have the stability yet. Subjugate. I'd have to do this before I go to war, so I can vassalize an ally. I don't have any allies. That sucks. I could create an alliance. Expensive as hell. But it eats my cubes. It eats my card, which I don't want to be holding. And do I have to be a piece? No, I don't have to be a piece to create an alliance. But an ally might be useful to me. Like if I ally with something like Caramon here. Sure. Okay. So this would be really useful over with Naples. I'll spend my 4 and $2. Give me 3 back. And I feel like I'm blundering. I know what I want to do and I can't do it, or I don't want to do it yet is the problem. Okay, so I remove any 2 cubes. I must do this. And then add 2 of my own. Is this where I want them, or is there someplace like Cyprus that would be more valuable to me to do them? Hard call, hard call. So what would the Cypriot Navy, wouldn't really support us. We'd have another army, not really useful. Yeah, well, we're fine. Okay, so we do this, and I gain an alliance with the target. Yep. Lots of these big things that stand up, and I don't get a bonus off this. I get rid of it, and that's the play for them. Running low on tea, and I've gone halfway around, so I'm going to take a pause there. Did half the guys right. It's in kind of an interesting position in regards to the Burgundian inheritance. They get what they're going to get. As long as they have 3 military available, it's available. So if I declare war on England, I could be, or prepare for that war, I could be triggering problems there. Likewise, I don't have a hell of a lot of military cubes. England has a whole shitload. This is mainly because the French have all these cubes built up over here, which is problematic, but I learned my lesson maybe. But I don't need to pick that event. So then the question becomes, well, yeah, what do I pick then? The exceptional year seems like a great idea. Except that comes with this anti-unrest factor, which is appealing. You know, if I'm in a war situation, I can cure some of that unrest. So there's kind of a, gosh, do I want to do that? These are military that I want to hold for my fighting. I'm not so sure about the tactical retreat one, but we'll see. Military traditions, I could spend one of these cubes, but that doesn't seem like a good idea at this point. Spy network. Spy network's being a dick. Can I use that at all for fighting? Not really. I could replace cubes. Are cubes of any importance, especially on the Burgundian crisis? They don't seem to have any impact at all. So playing with cubes may not be that big a bonus. That's this counter-espionage? No. This is a really iffy card to hold. No, but I could do the sabotage reputation. Replace an opponent's cube with one of your own. It costs 2, though. Not 2 of these, 2 of those. Italy's coming into play, you know. Picking off something here or here might be of some value. Gosh! Really having a hard... I'm trying to get cubes off the spy network because it sucks so bad. In terms of just eating up my stuff. I'm sure it has some values. But I think maybe my best move is good old trade. See what the after effects of the Burgundian inheritance are. let Spain get their shot at picking it. Or England, if Spain chooses not to, but I can't imagine that. And I triggered the champagne trade zone and ended up getting $5 off of it, which is probably about as good as I could hope for. But again, $5 for a cube seems worthwhile. I think we know what Spain is going to do. Because I want to be the guy who gets the inheritance. So, and we sure the hell don't want the English to get it. I could hold off if I was the only person with a marriage, because someone else, sure, they might have a card that gives them a marriage or whatever, but they won't be able to take the event and that card at the same time. But right now, the Burgundian happens. I've got to wander around and cause people to be dizzy. I know that the walking, especially with the quick panning, is problematic. But this game takes so much of it. Okay. All players with a marriage may place claims in 2 areas with Burgundian provinces or vassals. I have to do it first. But I need to see what else happens. Then, unless you are France, if you have a marriage with Burgundy, you may pay 3 diplomacy. That could have been a big hit if I didn't have it. To gain towns in all the remaining Burgundian provinces and vassals, add an unrest to all of them. A war between France and England on the inheritance would have been really nasty, right? Because it just would have been so broad. But the English aren't going to get it. So, okay, so what are we looking at here? To gain all of these Burgundian provinces and vassals, you only add unrest to the vassals. Oh, okay. So Spain's going to get a nice chunk of change off of this. No question. So, first thing, I get claims in 2 areas, and I have to choose first with Burgundian provinces or vassals. Well, this is kind of interesting. This is going to be where do I want to expand my power? And like that could be Savoy. I could gain Savoy off of that claim. Savoy is dangerous because that's a war in the Holy Roman Empire. Artois and Picardy would give me claims up here to the French core areas. That's kind of interesting. Seriously dicky though. I don't know. Let me look at my long-term goals. Surprisingly, there is one which applies. Defend the Catholic faith. And this is going to apply to the Netherlands revolt. State religion is counter-reformed. Own 4 more provinces in Netherlands, Flanders, and Wallonia, or Burgundy. I assume that's an inclusive word. All of your areas and 3 or more Holy Roman Empire areas are Catholic. That sounds like what I want to aim for. So, Netherlands, Flanders, and Wallonia, you know, those are kind of hard to get to. But I'm going to have some effect up there. I feel like Savoy, I think this is sort of the historical play as well, which appeals to me even more. So that's what the Spaniards are doing as we pan again. And try to slow walk. Okay. Now that puts it to the Brits. The Brits want to do the exact same 2 places because they have an interest in those places, right? Continental possessions, Netherlands, Flanders, and Wallonia, and Lower Saxony, yes. And since we do not have claims in these, yeah, we'll flow. These are in, see, the counters are kind of too big for the map. And you got the same problem in the original game. by no question, it's much worse actually in the original, although the counters aren't as big. But okay, France may place claims in Seine and Burgundy, or pay 3 military to gain forces, to gain towns in all provinces there. I'm going to pay. This is an appealing advantage. So that's going to be Seine and Burgundy. Seine gives me Artois and Picardy. Now, you might have made an argument. No unrest. So this and this fall over. Spain might have made an argument that, hey, if I want to attack the French, this is the place to go. And then Bourgogne, Burgundy itself shows up here. I think these marriages are going to go away. They were attached to this, but I'll just pull them off board. And this other one. And France is rich now. France is rich like they are in the computer game. Let's see. We're looking at a 22 base income. I'm probably going to be able to get that advantage without working too hard at it. Now we go on. Then, unless you are France, if you have a marriage with Burgundy, these two, you can pay 3 piece to gain towns on all the remaining Burgundian areas, provinces and vassals, with unrest in the vassals. Yeah, we're going to do that. So Spain pays their price, and they will be gaining a whole bunch. And I can't do this without... it's all through here. I'll show you it afterwards. All of those convert over straight up. The rest of them, and we're seeing some nations disappearing essentially here. Some nations that were vassals. These marriages, I'm guessing, go away. And Spain also has a humongous income at 22 now. So the same as France's. Okay, that takes care of the event itself. I've moved that over, but we have the secondary impacts. And we already looked these up, but I don't remember them, of course. Native uprising. Each player loses a colonist from the colonial pool and gains a thing. You can ignore one of these two. You may choose to ignore one of the 2 events, even if this is the only one that will affect you. Yeah, England chooses to ignore the event. Oh no, I bet you, that you may choose is for the person who selected the card. Now, I'm having trouble with where things go. I hope I don't want to put that there. Could knock the whole shelf down another extra little tiny bit of weight. I just don't trust it. Okay, and then this was the disloyal vassals. Affects every PR that has any areas with a vassal with either no cubes or marriage, or with fewer cubes in the area than any opponent. Who has vassals? France has vassals. France has vassals. There's no marriage and no cubes there. So what happens? Any affected PR must pick an area with the most of their vassals and gain unrest on all of them, and then must place a number of armies equal to the tax value of the vassals with cube. Oh boy. Okay. I must pick the area with the most. So there's 2 places I can pick. I can pick here or here. This has the most vassals, so this goes over, and there's 2 rebel armies now here in Languedoc. Well, I wasn't counting on that. This is one of the things with the complexity of the cards. I feel like some players might be able to be more aware of what the whole sort of game state and its potential problems are. France now has 1 cube left and a rebellion to quell, which is definitely problematic. Let's keep looking. Who else has any vassals at all? I think it's just Poland, right? Yeah, and Poland also has problems with their vassals. These are a little harder to see because they don't look like vassals, they just look like rebellion spaces. I don't think that they're immune to this because the area is already in unrest. That wouldn't make sense. So, I think I would be facing, what the hell's this? I don't know. I think I'll be facing two rebels there. Is that the same picture? No, it's a different picture. Okay. Two rebels there. And oh, this is vassal of Poland. That's initially. Okay, so that's the next one. And then we have triangle hearts, and I'll find those. There are a number of these, but one is important. Isabel. Now, I believe when she dies, we immediately can place a new ruler in place. Is there any reference on this? No. I'm looking to see the ruler succession, but there's lots of different words you could use for this, like ruler is 19, 20, and 25, so I guess the right word. Characters, leaders, and advisors. Ruler death, interregnum. When your ruler dies, you should try to replace them right away. If the discarded ruler was the emperor or HRE, see the imperial elections. You may immediately replace a discarded ruler by taking an appoint advisor leader minor action as a reaction if you have an action card with a leader. So I was right. So we have two possible new kings of Spain, King Abdullah or King Louis. It's a hard call. Only 5 points for Abdullah, 6 points for Louis. Get rid of this. Where is the focus on each of them? Well, Louis is focused on diplomacy and military. Abdullah is focused more on the growth type side of things. But the extra cube just seems like too much to give up. Plus, I kind of knew what I wanted to do with the siege the siege assault, don't I? Am I going to war? Not really. Shit me. Because the military traditions could be valuable. Hard. New World. New World is dip. This is important. It's a big expense. It's hard to gather the cubes for that. So I want the one with the most dip, who is going to be Louis the First of Spain. I guess it's better than Abdullah the First. His Most Christian Majesty Abdullah. I mean, it could happen over there. But all right. So that's my selection. That was a pretty damn big event. The world has changed significantly. Burgundy's gone. It's been absorbed. Wow, Franche-Comté goes over to Spain. Or goes over to France. Interesting. I'm a little confused by that because I thought that went over to the Spaniards. But this is all the same area. This is the border of the HRE. I feel like something is screwy here because I think France actually inherited I think Spain actually inherited the Franche-Comté. Because it's part of the Spanish Road. They certainly have it in the 1500s, but Yeah, this is disturbing me. I almost want to go look it up. All right, I'm too excited and have to urinate, so I'm going to leave things up to the British to try to pick up the pieces after they've just lost the Netherlands. Here, but I forgot to do something. I flip over a card. Imperial intervention. You gain 1 military, increase the imperial power by 1. Select 1 to 2 areas adjacent by land to the Emperor's realm, where there are towns on provinces which are not core provinces of their owners. Add unrest on 3 of such in each of those areas, if possible. Distribute 6 rebel military, I guess, among the chosen areas, but maximum 4 in a single area. If you're the HRE member realm, you exhaust 2 military to gain 2 prestige. Interesting. I like the fact that it increases the imperial power. I think the Austrians definitely want to do this when it comes, they don't want someone else taking it from them, although who would? They're doing so poorly. The main thing that we'd gain is this 2 prestige, which is pretty nice. The other stuff is just sort of we gain a military, but the other stuff, we want to make sure this happens, but I don't know that we have to be the one to do it. And it also triggers a number of them NPRs. Oh, for the English, their situation is somewhat troublesome. We know France is going to declare, if we could pass, we would. We know France is going to go to war with us because they now have that mission. Honestly, I think those missions are secret, so maybe we don't know. But we suspect France is going to want to regain their territory, right? And they have a claim. We can't just get rid of that claim. There's no easy way to do that. There are a few things we could still do. Raising trade income seems worthwhile. Our actual cards and capabilities aren't terribly useful right now, like subjugate. Well, if we had an ally, but all our allies have disappeared, we could subjugate Portugal. That's interesting. What's up with that, man? It's a lively, a dynamic NPR. What happens to them? They vassalize, I believe, which seems a little weird. I'm not sure that can be done. So this is the thing that really bugs me. Not the NPR emperor here, but no election is held if the emperor is controlled by an NPR. Now, there's a reason for that. There's no emperor to die. It's just it's baked into the game. The empire will have fallen. Maybe there are event cards that allow the empire to transit away from the current dynasty. But now I'm looking for these NPR dynamics, and I don't know where they are. I thought they're kind of an optional rule. Gotta remember, the Pope can do stuff, and he may. He may this time. He's got things he's interested in. Okay, warfare. The NPRs. All provinces owned. Okay, so it will stay as a dynamic NPR, but be vassalized as well. Well, honestly, that doesn't seem like too bad an option. And that won't help us against the French, because we're not adjacent to either our own territory or to France itself, even by sea. But if we do a subjugation, we discard cubes equal to the target's base value plus the opponent's cubes in the realm. Well, we don't have enough cubes. Do we want to build this up? So there are 2, 3, 4, 5. We would need 5 cubes there. We can't get that because it's actually 6 with this. So we're not going to be able to vassalize them. Oh boy. Is there an event we want to play? Because we could get some cash. A heresy. Choose one of your own areas in an area adjacent. Place diverse faith in both. Add unrest to one of your own in the first area and to any 2 in the second. And we could research tolerance for 3. We don't have 3 administrative power, so yeah, it's not really that appealing. It hurts us. The Polish Golden Age could get us some money. We could fuck around with the Poles. Again, not terribly appealing, but it puts us in a position where we could pass and get rid of the turn. Of course, we have so much military that we kind of don't want to. So, perhaps it's time to build an army. Seems like a reasonable option, doesn't it? And we have this mercenaries, which can allow us to recoup our army if need be. It does sound appealing to me. So, raising an army is simply 1 military, but we have to pay a whole bunch of money. And money is something we're low on. And here's where the problem is. If we don't raise the army now, but do it in reaction, we don't have to spend the money right away. All right, fuck it, we're going to trade. I just don't want to go, I don't want to spend the money and have to spend money again on raising an army. Lucky, we get the English Channel. That'll be here. I'm going to move this fleet over here. It's still adjacent, but I'm allowed to do that. And now, Amsterdamster. Definitely not mine. Antwerp, Normandy is mine. So that's 1. London is mine is 2, 3, 4, 5. Enhanced gets me $10. That's a pretty good trade action. That's the only time we're going to get to do the English Channel on this turn. But we do have another merchant available, so we could throw it up in the North Sea or something if we want to raise even more money. But this idea of raising cash to build up that army feels like it's the right thing to do. It's just the right thing to do, man. Around to the Poles, or to the Austrians, again, I don't think I really need this. Like I said, I'd rather somebody else, I'd rather nobody pick this, but I don't want to pick it, particularly at this point. I'd rather wait until some money collects up on it, at least a couple bucks, because money's cool. I think what I want to do with some of my military reforms, get rid of some of these cubes. I don't have enough to do the increased stability, but I do have enough to do an institute military intervention, research any military idea in play, exhausts 2 uses of this thing, and it costs me 2 cubes to do, but that's good overall. And I take a little thing, and then the question is, do I want an artillery? I think the answer is no. I'm going to drop this here. That doesn't give any points to anyone, but now I'm, up to date with everybody else in the game in terms of military capability. I'm a little troubled. The Polish Golden Age, if I take the Jagiellonian dynasty, which I was planning on doing, and I think I have to because I am aiming in that direction. Yeah, I have the alliance with Prussia and I can throw the extra troops in, whatever. But Poland gains a royal marriage with both Bohemia and Hungary, flip those royal marriages to their at war, to their disputed side, and I gain a couple of cubes. But man, if I don't enact those, it puts me in 2 wars, essentially. that I will want to be involved in. And I don't think I can win 2 wars, right? But I think I can win just the Bohemian War, and I think it's okay to take a couple of prestige point hits for ignoring the Hungarian inheritance. So I'm going to go with this. I'm not thrilled about it, but I get a couple of bucks. Let's give them to the player who deserves them. The problem is my lack of cubes, and yeah, I can shift too. Okay, Poland gains a royal marriage in Bohemia and Hungary. I think we're getting close to the limit here. I think it's 3. Okay, so Bohemia over here and Hungary over here, and then all of them flip. This causes Austria problems again with Hungary. Now, you think if Austria wipes Hungary out, that solves my problem. And I gain 2 more cubes. Hey, good thing I spent a cube, right? Now, I also, because I played this, lose my decent king, Casimir, and not to try to pronounce him as spelled in the Polish spelling that I know I can't, and we get Zygmunt. It's a downgrade, but he's not sick, and whatever's. That throws my event over, and there were no other special bonuses for that event. We're getting not putting the money on, I remembered that last time, but flipping the card over. So the next one, claim to the throne of Naples. All right, and this comes with a French leader who is very good at military. Press the claim. France gains a prestige and a claim in Naples and must discard all cubes in Aragonese areas. No loss there. You gain a military or an alliance with either Milan or Venice. The alliance may be better than a cube. Got enough money to build troops, etc. Or I could drop the claim. France loses 2 prestige but gains 2 cubes in Naples, and the player who chooses this gains 2 peace. This is nasty. France needs to play this. They absolutely need to play this. And it's not terrible to them. The question is, does Turkey want to grab this for 2 peace and fucking with the French? Not really, you know. If we were, first of all, if it was France that was in the lead and we were maybe a little later in the game, going out to screw with someone might make sense. But we have very little interest in doing this right now. That's the kind of leader France needs to prosecute their war with the English, though. For the Turks, I'm trying to figure out, and one of the things I was trying to figure out was, hey, do I want to play one of these? And the answer is not really. The Heretics with $4 on it is interesting, but, you know, that may be the one that gets burned because it's just bad. It's a bad card, and it's possible multiple bad cards could come up. Unfortunately for me, I played a diplomacy card already to get this alliance, and now I'm out of diplomacy cubes. I could do a rearrangement and do one of these. The Revolutionary Ideas is intriguing to me for really 2 of them. The free trade option, which would give me an extra bonus trade, give me some cash I might need, and then the benign diplomats, which is kind of nice as well. Gives extra cubes. The Poles have that. Yeah, it's kind of useful, I guess. But on the other hand, I'm about ready to go into a war. So what about military research? Do I want to take that damn hit down to 2 stability loss? Oh, that's getting nasty, man. And the nastiness is to reduce dice. The main thing that I want this for is to get some of those cubes back in the pool. And that doesn't seem good enough. Increasing manpower might be a better choice or something. Hold off on any of this because oh no, sorry, I already paid the exhaust. Yeah, I could get a military idea. Sure. So this takes 2 uses and 2 military cubes. No, I'm sorry. The drill is a loan. A loan I can deal with. The drill is a loan. It's not a stability loss. And I get a little boinker doinker, and I take yet another military one, which is going to give me a loan, but it also gives me 2 more victory points as I scream ahead. I don't know where I got loans. Got loans somewhere. They must be over in here. Yeah, I saw them and thought they were the military, the extra military. Okay, so I can take a loan. I'll be able to pay that off, if not right away, at some point. And I got me a new tactic, which allows me to pull battle dice off. That's fine. I'm not really all that worried about that. How is it worded? When you fight a land battle. See, this specifies land battle, right? Not one of the others. That is helpful. Okay. And I think that's all we do. Too worried about the Neapolitan claim being passed by. I mean, what would that do to me if somebody picked it? I don't know. Do I need to do it? I don't know. This is the, am I in trouble? Is there something I want to do? Veterans, military education gets me a general. Do I have a general in hand? I have a shitty one, but I'd have a good king as a general. I don't know. I might be willing to wait and get some cash on that. All right, let's think some more. It's not all that appealing or necessary to me. I mean, obviously it's appealing. So I'm thinking I do want to do this. I want to declare war on England. England hasn't taken their event yet, so I can still hold. They have so many military cubes. I want them to use them for something, preferably something I don't care about. I'm going to have to rearrange my focus to get my military over, but I'll do this. Okay, so I'm going to press the claim. I get a claim to Naples. Remember, there's a limit to how many claims we each have. And must discard all cubes in Aragonese areas. That is 0. Clever of me. I gain a military or an alliance with Milan and Venice, or Venice. This is a hard call. Like, Venice is very powerful. Milan is not weak. These would be useful things. A cube would be useful too for my warfare, but I get the feeling I may need the armies more. So I am going to take an alliance with Milan. I also get my new king, who won't fit under, and that gets rid of this event. Spain needs 3 more cubes in Aragon. I'm going to spend 1 diplomatic cube. I need 1 for this. I don't think I'm going to do the Reconquista this turn. Well, maybe I should because... All right, let's take a look at the Crusades. We've read this before, but I can call a crusade. That'll cost me 2 diplomacy cubes. Select a target area that has at least 2 provinces owned by Muslims and place a crusade token there. You can take a free declare war targeting any Muslim realms with provinces to gain some additional mercenaries and some prestige. If so, you tag the committed to crusade slot on the status map. The crusade token provides a holy war casus belli for all Catholic realms against the Muslim realm that own a province in that area. If you use this casus belli on a valid target when taking a declare war action, tag the committed to crusade slot on the map. I don't know where that committed to crusade slot is. It's got to be somewhere else. So that's right here. We had lost some ground. I could also excommunicate people, but that feels sticky for no reason. Again, if somebody was really in the lead, but I can't excommunicate Turkey. I can only excommunicate other Catholics. So I might be able to do that, but here's the thing. I want to spend a diplomacy. It was going to cost 2 for the crusade, 1 more for the subjugate. So I spend 1 diplomacy cube, and I spend $6, making sure I have 2 more cubes. That gets me 3 cubes. Put them out here. And that sets me up with the 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 that I need for the subjugation action. If I had the bonus diplomats, I'd get a free cube for having done this, but too bad I don't. And I didn't have a way of being able to do the research as well as these other things I want to do. I think the English, trying to work towards their continental possessions, are going to want to forge an alliance. That costs half the target's tax income, maximum of 3. This should have a tax income of 1. I don't think there's anything else there. So that's the place I'm going after. It's not optimal by any means, but yeah. So that'll cost me half a cube. I rounds up to 1. And we have 2 cubes in the area, so we can grow an alliance there. This is an alliance. Okay, this is the cabinet alliance. I'm throwing it out so I don't misuse it. And I'll put an alliance here. I don't know if it's what I really want to do, but then I can subjugate it and gain control and have some power there. It's, again, not optimal. I would rather be over here, but, you know, let's get the things I want. I'm delaying using my military as long as possible. As soon as I fire that off, uh-oh. All right, let's make sure. The Lollard heresy. Stop the heretics. Add 2 pitchforks to the English, and England gains a prestige, and you gain a military. Ooh. Let them be. English loses a prestige. Their rightmost cardinal, they have one, and 4 cubes from Catholic areas. If you are Catholic realm other than England, you gain a cardinal. Okay, this is nastiness. Did Spain want to do this? You know, it's their own fault for not, but I'm going to undo the English action that they just took because they want this. Among other things, it gives me Henry VII, who sucks militarily, but that's okay. I want to stop the heretics, so I get 2 pitchforks to English spaces. Where do I want those? Take them down here. I got Lollards in Normandy. England gains a prestige, and I get yet another military cube. Getting the bonus prestige is worth it. The Lollards, they give me not as good a ruler. Henry VIII sort of took power without much effort there. Not exactly what I would have expected that to be, but, you know, because it's such a big deal in English history. But honestly, it's one little battle, right? You know? Okay. Well, murder of a couple of princes, the whole Richard III reign, whatever. But yeah. So with that happening, anything else? I don't have an army yet, but that's okay, because I can raise my army if the French don't come in. And I moved my boat already. And that's going to be it for a little bit, because we're back at the beginning. I've done a lot. I'm playing a lot right now for me. This may be a sign of something, because I'm just kind of like, I'm running lower on resources in Raid, and I'm just not feeling the desire to keep pushing that. And I almost feel like I'm on the verge of being able to do something like laundry or dishes or something like that as well. But instead I come up here because, you know, always must do things. Hey, this time we will get this right. So we get a 5 over there. And we flip over a new card that the Poles get. And this is the last event. This isn't right. I fucked up again. God damn me. French didn't mark theirs. Okay. This one is the fate of the Crimean Khanate. Accept Crimean servitude. The Ottomans may pay 1 admin and 2 dip and 1 military to gain vassal on all Crimean provinces and a claim to Crimea. Sounds pretty cool. That includes Kaffa. Wow. That can't be right. That can't be right. See, what do they mean by all Crimean provinces? Do they mean all provinces in the area of Crimea, or all provinces owned by the nation of Crimea? I'm going to take it as the latter, because I can't see them getting Kaffa out of this for free. If the Ottomans do not pay, you may do so instead if you have a town or cube in Crimea or in an area adjacent to it. So the Poles will want this. Maybe. Refuse to help. You gain a dip. The Ottomans lose all cubes in Crimea, but gain 2 cubes in adjacent areas. See, the problem is the Poles get to choose to accept Crimean servitude, but then the Ottomans get to buy it. So it's not necessarily as advantageous to them as you might think. And the events are falling fast. Yeah. All right. I have to say, the visual component of this game, yeah, it's crowded, but compared to the original EU board game, there's something so nice about, you know, these nice high quality components, whatever, just the way they really, the amount of space they take up. It doesn't matter that they're wooden or if they were counters, but the size of the components going over the European board, at least. I do find that the world board, maybe because I got a counter tray lying on top of it, it just feels, it feels very secondary. Right? It feels so much smaller than what you have in EU. And honestly, this is smaller too. I know it looks huge, right? It's as big a map, but there are a lot less provinces and whatnot total in it. When we talk about these as provinces even, not you know, not areas that you can maneuver in. But I feel like those, there were some nice concessions made, whatever. There's another word I'm looking for, but, and it's a simple word, it's just my brain doesn't work well anymore. Trade-offs, whatever, but in terms of like, you know, it really does kind of jump out at you what the towns are. And the little cubes do confuse things a little bit. It looks like there's a different kind of power in play all over the place. I do find things like that start feeling more distracting. I feel like, you know, I've got military units or something from Wallenstein, you know, and I'm like, let's throw them into the tower, see what comes out. But yeah, it's it really is a beautiful game in terms of the component quality and whatnot. Just thought I'd point that out again. Obviously, I did early on, but now seeing these major changes happening, where, you know, this whole area is taken over by Spain. Now it's so obviously Spanish, right? One of the few things that's maybe not so much is where, not that, where we have the religious differences. That's something that's not spelled out in the rules. I do feel like that helps to pop these out a little bit. Just, you know, being able to know where something's a little weird and where you have to deal with things that are weird. Even though they're printed on the map, they're so invisible to me that giving them a little bit more accent is helpful. So I did look up a little bit on the Burgundian Wars and the death of Charles the Bold and whatnot. And Franche-Comté actually was incorporated into France in this period and was then given to the Austrians later. So there may be some other event or some other mechanism that exchanges it out of there. But right now the map is indeed correct, and I've learned something. I always thought, you know, honestly, I never really thought too much about this period, right? I'm aware of the Burgundian inheritance and aware that it went to Spain, but that, or maybe Austria, it eventually ends up in Spanish hands, right? But who knows, the Charles V thing, I don't remember which way it went. It would make more sense to end up in Austria's hands at this point. But it kind of, it's more convoluted than that. France had a claim on Burgundy, was at war with them, and that's why they had to spend 3 military counters. They don't have to actually fight the Burgundians, though, which would have been a harder fight, right? Like, that war could not be handled with the outcome that came by using the general rules of the game. So you got something kind of interesting going on there. Not doing anything useful like dishes or laundry or anything. I feasted instead. I made a big old pork thing and some pasta. And just really tasty. But I think the Austrians are going to take the imperial intervention. They want to make sure this gets done. And while they're in no particular hurry, it's got $4 on it. Heretics has 6. It seems like a good idea to grab the thing that is not negative and get the bonus out of it. And we'll push this over because of that. So I gain a military. Useful. Basically, I don't have a hell of a lot to do with my cubes. I could trade, hope for the best, whatever. But there really aren't a lot of options available to me. And again, there's a danger to using this. It eats up a cube, and I've still not got a lot of cubes available to me. So I'm a little afraid to play with that. I increase the imperial power by 1. That's cool. Select 1 to 2 areas adjacent by land to the Emperor's realm, where there are things which are not core provinces of their owner, towns. Add unrest to 3 of such in each of those areas, if possible. And then distribute some rebel armies I can also exhaust 2 of my own armies to gain to drop myself back, or to bring myself back up to 0. Yay, 0. Okay, so that's cool. But let's figure out what we want to hit with unrest. Well, and probably I may want to go to war with the damn Hungarians again. Although I have a claim against them, so this isn't that big a deal. But the marriage issue is a problem. Okay, they're adjacent to the Emperor's realm, where there are towns that are not core. Well, we're worried about Poland, in part because they're trying to seize Bohemia and whatnot. So let us pick on them. They seem like the biggest problem, and there's a lot of unrest all over here and everything. But there are towns on provinces which are not core provinces of their owners. I could even hit the Turks if I was close enough to them, but I'm not. 3 of these. Yeah, so let's hit the poles. We'll hit here. Boop. 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 We'll hit here. Boop. 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 This is nastiness we're creating here. Oh, we can't hit this one. That's not adjacent to us. Thought it was. Damn cubes. Okay, another one. Well, I mean, we could hit some of these Spanish areas here, but I think it's more useful to hit the Franche-Comté and Burgundy, Bourgogne, and Lyon. And I guess we'll also hit over here. Just really screwing with the French. They're not going to be happy about this. Okay, so the Burgundian inheritance does not go over well. Now I get 6 of these rebel armies. I'm going to put 4 of them on the Polish area, because I think that's dickier. This is a Bohemian vassal in Silesia. We're kind of interfering with all the plans. And then I can put 2 more in one of the French territories. Well, I'm going to pick Burgundy itself for this. They're really causing issues around the world. Okay. This is going to be a big one. All right, and then I guess all the greens and all the pinks get activated. Well, I don't remember how that works. For each such symbol that matches the color of a DNRP, aha, very specific there. Pick a DNPR of that color. So the player who chooses the card gets to pick which pink and which green are active. Well, the green, there's only one. So why don't we go with that first, and then after I see what happens, I'll probably end up picking Naples because it's further away. Kind of worried what the Danes might do. Okay. Place a matching spoop-a-beep. It's up and down, right? Up and down. On a province adjacent to the DNPR. This may not be a capital, nor can it be occupied, owned by the DNPR's ally, or the core province of a PR. Place a matching. This may not be a capital. I don't know what to take. It's going to be something from Spain, and it's going to be nasty. cannot be a capital, nor can it be occupied, owned by the DNPR's ally or core province. Okay. If a province of an NPR is selected, this province is taken over. If a province selected has a town or a vassal on it, place this thing underneath it, thus making it a core province of the DNPR, and add unrest to it. Well, that sounds dicky. I think we'll do it to Gibraltar. Cause Spain a little bit of trouble. I could spread down into Morocco or whatever, but you know. From age 2 onward, which it's not, for DNPRs with a port facing the Atlantic, you may instead place it on any vacant territory. If a DNPR takes a province from an NPR allied to a PR, the player places a CB token on it. Okay, so that wasn't too impressive there. The other one, haha, let's take Rome. All right, let's look at what happens with an ally. If you take it from an NPR allied to the PR, the player may place a CB token on the DNPR's capital. So, if I took Messina, what is the limitation? The DNPR with a force pacing the Atlantic, you may place it on any vacant territory. Yeah, that's because I don't know. I don't know what a territory is. Territories may be the overseas stuff. So, I mean, I could take Rome. That would be kind of dicky. I could just basically make Naples bigger by, say, taking Ancona, or I can't take Rome because it's a capital, right? No. But I could also take something that's sort of across the sea. I could take one of the Aragonese provinces away, weakening them as a possible point. It's all very interesting. Who is this who's doing this? Austria is doing it. I could take Albania. It's a capital, but it's alone. Is there anything really interesting that I could take? Genoa. Nope, they own Corsica. I'm looking for like something bigger because it would be advantageous for me to increase their size to something larger. I don't know what I want Naples to take. This is Austria, so I may be involved in the Italian wars. I may not really want Naples extending themselves into Italy. I think it's up and downs. Up and downs. You know, Albania seems like not a bad choice. Okay. And then the next thing is we look for squares to kill. And I'll come back with the answer to that. And a couple of advisors over here on Spain and another one somewhere else, I think England. Nothing impressive. No rulers got affected and nothing else there. And that's going to move the little boat over to Poland. Now, I'm feeling fat and heavy for having eaten so much. And also my event, my daily raid turnover, like all my new missions and everything are available. So I'm thinking that this is a place where I want to stop. But boy, did the Austrians unleash a bunch of pain. You know, Poland has to deal with Bohemia, but then I've got all these eruptions of problems on my hand. And if we look at the sequence here, I think it's 2 prestige per unfulfilled royal marriage disputed succession issue. Poland made a really bad choice by triggering this. 2 of them was bad enough. Now, I don't think, I hope we didn't have this out here already. If that had already been out there when I picked it, this was a really bad idea, because it is really obvious that, like, I could be a target. Oh boy, there's rebellion everywhere now. Interesting. So this would be in the, I don't remember where. Is it in the cleanup? Somewhere they talk about royal marriages. Score prestige, maybe? That would make sense. It's not there. Maybe it's peace? Prestige penalties under peace and rebels, yeah. So you flip all these that are still display their flame size. Each player loses 3 for each one being flipped. And the Poles are sitting on 2 royal marriages that are in dispute. Oh boy. And here's the thing. I could declare war on 1. A player may avoid this penalty if they are the only PR to have an alliance on that realm and also have the most cubes. Now, that would be one way of getting around it, is to try to do a diplomatic solution rather than going to war. That might be more plausible at this time. Austria, for example, has 3 dip cubes. Poland has a fair number. We might be able to get out of this, but probably not entirely. And ouchies. All the confusion that was happening with, I guess, the imperial intervention? Is that what created all these rebellions? Yeah. That the Austrians pulled off. I missed something that I should have seen, which is there's a Polish army here. That army has actually got to fight a battle immediately. The game, the way it works is if somehow you're in the same space as enemy troops, and I don't know if this is at all possible, when they didn't just turn enemy or show up there, nothing happens. So anyway, this has to fight. So I've got to think a little bit about the Poles in relation to that. I have no military capabilities to begin with. I have 3 soldiers. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to dispatch, because I can't really afford cubes. I've got a hard job ahead of me. I think I'm going to dispatch my my royal general. Interesting. Over here to command this force. That gets me an extra die. I used to have a buddy, Clueless Dave, would ask, "Die, please." I think it was the only, I think he did it on purpose, because it was the only time he was kind of sort of that kind of polite. And of course I would just slump down. Okay. So we're under attack here. We get our 3 normal dice and our general die. I don't have anything that really helps me here. I wish these spies would help me get rid of the unrest rather than causing it. All right, so what did I get? I have nothing except infantry. I got 1 hit off my cav die. So we killed one of these, and now on the opposing side, over there I think there's going to be a general, but I'm not sure because that's a rebellion that may not have one. Here we lose one of our own. We're going to stick around, and the rebels stick around automatically, if I recall correctly. Here we pulled nothing. Shitty town. Again, an inside joke. And we take 2 hits this time. The army's destroyed. And we didn't get a hit of, we didn't get 2 of the type that kill our leader. So that's not good. We're looking at this call to war. And we have these rebellions, and we have no army anymore. This is problematic. And then there was the thing I was looking up before, which is the prestige penalty. If I'm the only one to have an alliance on a realm, and also have the most cubes, minimum of 2, I can avoid the problem. Like, I just don't think I can handle my military needs right now, is kind of the issue. However, forging an alliance costs half the income. Both PR and NPR have to be at peace, and I need to have 2 cubes in the target area. So I'd have to spend some of my diplomatic power to throw myself into a position with some of these others. Now I have a fair amount of money. Cube placement. Influence is $3 per, which is kind of cool. I have the benign diplomats. Whenever you place 3 or more cubes at once during an influence, I get an extra one for free. I can place up to 3 in each area, and also areas that are adjacent to my ships, which is pretty cool. So I think I'm going to do this and try to mitigate the effects now as we keep walking around. The Forge Alliance is going to be ridiculously expensive for Hungary, because it's half. Let's see, there's a maximum though. It's half the target's tax income, so that would cost me probably 3 cubes to fix. Whereas the Bohemian one, okay, but there's a requirement having to do with enemy cubes there too. So I have to have an alliance. And we walk back over here. I have to have, we try to remember. We look for the rule. We keep looking. We thought we had it open to it. It doesn't appear to be. Maybe it's over here. It's somewhere penalties. Prestige penalty here. I was on the right place. Each player loses 3 for each of their marriages getting flipped. You can avoid this if you're the only PR to have an alliance on the realm and to have the most cubes, minimum 2. I just don't think I can do it with both nations, but I think I can buy off the Bohemians, who were the ones I wanted to fight. And maybe I could have, bought off the Hungarians and fought the Bohemians. On the other hand, maybe I just let the rebellion spread. What is this cube? I think it's from there. Leave a cube halfway out like that. There's, maybe a 50% chance it ends up just getting discarded. Jesus. Oh, boy. Yeah. If I build an army, that's going to cost me a cube and a bunch of my money. I do a reorganize capabilities. That gets 2 cubes over here. I can't march into here without engaging those. I'm trying to see if I can get to Bohemia. I can get to Hungary. And why does the disputed succession go away? Does it just go away? Or, yeah, that'll just end. It doesn't matter that I'm at war with them. That dispute will just disappear if I don't resolve it this turn. And I just don't have the capability, I think, to do either of these. So let's buy off the cheap one. So that's 1 cube. That'll get me my second cube there. I might as well buy 3 cubes. I don't have 3 cubes. I'm fucked. Oh, fucking hell. I don't know. Because I got all my goddamn cubes locked up in this shit that I can't do a thing with. Draw 2 action. I could exhaust 2 by spending an administrative point for nothing, and that would get me a couple more cubes back. I mean, this is the kind of thinking that I'm having is, what kind of non-actions can I do to wipe out the stuff that I've built up thinking it would be useful? Not being able to tell, so things that look like they should be useful being actually penalties on you is a really problematic design. Now, this is a huge game. Over the course of playing it once, you learn some lessons. It's not like a Euro that takes an hour or 3 or whatever, where you lose the game on that little issue, but or you're significantly set back, and there's really nothing else to enjoy except like this optimization and trying to win the optimization fight. I don't feel like this game has that. I feel like this game actually does link enough to things that it makes the Euro techniques somewhat less egregious as they are in in the Euros, but still, it's fucking frustrating as hell. And, maybe it does lose you the game, right? Because Age of Renaissance is like a 6-hour game, at least. I think I always played with slow groups, and I'm a slow player, so it's fair. But you make a couple of these kind of mistakes in that game, and you're fucked. You're out of the game. You make a couple of these kind of mistakes in Europa Universalis, and maybe you didn't get, and maybe you missed out on getting one of your colonies or something like that. The mistakes are little bookkeeping errors that might end up reducing your total effect. They're very seldomly like, wow, I wasted all my efforts because of this. Here, I'm just locked in because of this shit. We're on the downside, when I'm really down on the game, it's things like this. Sure, I've got a takeaway lesson that I learned from playing part of this first age. Don't fucking buy these things. They're not worth it. Maybe one of them, and maybe if you know what you're going to do with it, but don't buy the fucking spy network. It's a piece of shit. It's really hard to use to any effective usage. Sure, it reduces the cost of some of your stuff, but man, it makes you have to expend on stupid shit. I got no idea what I'm gonna fucking do. On an income of 5 here, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's gonna cost me 3 cubes on the Royal Marriage. And I have no cubes here. I can't do anything basically. I'm just fucked. Can I use some of my admin cubes here and burn some of them? I could do the war taxes. That'll kill 2 of these and 1 of those for no effect. And I honestly think that may be my best option. Reforms, draw 2 cards and keep 1. I might get lucky. I don't know what the fuck. Oh wait, I have a Royal Marriage card. That's not what I want, is it? I got Royal Marriages all over the fucking place. Yeah, I think actually my best possible action is to burn this on war taxes and 2 of these. There's no requirement to actually do anything. Get some cubes here and set myself up to use the diplomacy next time. This is fucking pathetic. That's all I have to say. Now, I could grab up cubes from Lithuania, but I want those, Sure, I wanted these too, and I thought I had some use for this. Keeping this with 1 cube, if you can do it, isn't that bad because it reduces the cost of some defensive maneuvers. But what the fuck, man? These cards, you know, the gaminess of what you're doing with these cubes is just so fucking infuriating compared to, like, you know, most of the rest of the game. They just feel so disconnected to me. On the Turks, we have kind of a similar problem. I can take out roads. Pretty sure I can, right? But I'm doing that cube calculation problem here. Not just cube, but everything else. Because if I go to war with them, you know, can I go to war with someone else? Am I that stocked? Probably not. So, okay, we're in a good shape. But there are times in this game where you want to look like, can I attack this and this? And you have to look at the sequence because maybe you're going to be using the same army or the same fleet for both. Big question on the fleet being able to fight. Rhodes only has 1 ship. I have a light ship, and I think a galley counts just like a light ship. Damned if I know. Haven't had to deal with those suckers. So we look for the military units, which probably are further this way. Or something. Galleys can only sail in sea zones with certain markers. We got one of them here. It's a dagger. Here it's a star. That also counts. Here it's a star. So I think the Mediterranean, for one reason or another, is daggers. The Black Sea, for no apparent reason, is a star. I wonder, do we have any over here? The Black Sea may be a star because it's the eastern map only, but then these are too, so I don't know what that differentiation is. I don't see a Red Sea or anything like that here. I'm actually really not sure what this is. I guess this whole thing is East African coast. And I'm pretty sure that there are, I mean, we would have one here too, where galleys would be permissible, but they may not. They don't make a difference for some reason or another. I'm not sure why. Okay, what the hell am I trying to figure out? Yeah, I'm trying to figure out if I can attack. Well, I know I can attack. The question is what I want to do. So military innovation, I could get... I've got all the military tactics that I can get. Okay, so I think I spend a cube and declare war. I think that's what I should do. Now, it's probably not, you know, maybe there's something else I want to do too, but, and I can declare war because I have a claim, it doesn't cost me anything. Oh, I know what the question is. Do I want to declare war on Naxos and Crete? Obviously not on Crete, but I might want to declare war on Naxos, but that would increase my naval opposition. So that doesn't seem like a great idea. Mehmet has 3 cannon. Usually that's a naval, an admiral taking command. I don't think the general can take naval command ever. So no battle was generated off of this declaration of war, which means I can do something for free, i.e. without a cube. That could be either moving my navy out or building ships, really, or additional troops. I'm going to move my navy out, hoping that I can win the fight. If I can't, we've got a problem. I'm at equal. That's the problem here. Right? No. I've got 2 ships, they've got 1. Okay. So here's my attacking in. And I have defeated their ships. I should probably have little ship markers for them. And they get to swing back. And they did 2 cannons to me, but only 1 can count. So I'm going to take a galley as a loss. We've succeeded to make it here, but we no longer have enough ships to carry the entire army. Which means, and this is part of the naval move, I'm going to transport my forces over. I'll give another force here, and the Emperor will move into here. Now I'm fighting again. Now the Emperor actually adds 3 cannon dice to me. And we get all these dice as well. Oh wait, I have like military technologies I could have used to help this. And I don't know. When you fight a land battle, they lose a die. Okay. But I have these other cubes here that I could have used. And again, I think I could have used innovative tactics. No, that's only in a land battle. Okay, that's fine. So, this is what I have against his 1 die. And I whack the living shit out of him. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I could only do 3, but that's okay. Okay. On his side, I get rid of 1 of his dice using my military drill. But he still does 2, but it's only actually 1. Don't throw the armies away, man. They would get rearranged at the end of the day. Okay, so I have won a battle there. That gets me a cube back. And that is the extent of my turn. And it was a pretty hefty one, to tell you the truth. Notice back in the Polish turn, I forgot to remove 1 of their rebel casualties that was there. I can tell you, I'm so frustrated and everything. One of the reasons why I was kind of happier before, the late part of the turns, your choices are so limited. You've made your bad decisions. You heard already from them. And you've come to, reconcile yourself with whatever pain that you're suffering, right? Early on, it feels like you have all these opportunities and everything, and then the web of complexity and AP paralysis, or it is AP, of analysis paralysis just fucking, crushes you. Each turn, each time you come, well, not turn, each round, each time you come around to one of your early player turns. And maybe the first one, you figure out what you think you could do, but then really horrible things happen. Now, I don't mind the horrible things that happened to the Poles here, although I felt like they were behind the 8 ball to begin with, in a way, with the choice of the Jagiello dynasty. They shouldn't have taken that. That was fucking stupid, because it meant they had to deal with 2 inheritances. And they were not in a position to do that, so they were going to lose some prestige, 3 prestige off that. I thought it was only 2, so it seemed a little better, but, whatever. So I kind of fucked up there, but then the rebellion's happening. Man, that finished off my chance of doing something good and maybe getting Bohemia. So now we're seeing this sort of power vacuum happening between Poland and Austria, with that whole Eastern Europe just falling apart. Okay, what about to the fringe? I don't know. It sparks me having to go back downstairs and then come up with another rant instead of moving on with play. But in this case, I wanted to highlight something. So, Empires of the Middle Ages is a game in which it's really hard to succeed in anything. But it's because of luck, right? You don't end up sitting there thinking, fuck. If I had just rearranged my little cubes a little differently, or had thought a little more carefully and understood what I could do in a turn or whatever, I'd get away with it. Nah, you're just screwed. You know, you got a bad leader or whatever. You got a good leader, you can rock and roll for a while, but you'll probably overspend yourself just, you know, due to psychological reasons. What bugs me here is that in the old EU, I know that I could do the things that I'm trying to do here that I'm failing to do because, hey, I picked the wrong cards and played them, or I did this, or I did that. I'm doing these things that are all gamey things that are getting in the way of my being able to play the game effectively. And I feel like there is a capacity to play this game more effectively. It's not like Empires of the Middle Ages where you're just, you know, watching yourself get boned left and right. It's a game in which these nation states are forming and really becoming serious powers, becoming something other than just medieval kingdoms. And I feel like I'm back in the era of medieval kingdoms across the board. Maybe not that big a deal for Poland, but you know, when we're getting to some of these others, it's really problematic. Now, in the old EU, there were similar problems. For example, conquering roads, which is going to be trivial in this, was a fucking nightmare in that game. Because of luck, but you had a very low chance of doing it each time you tried. Here it looks like it's going to be very, very easy. I don't remember how it is in the computer game. I seem to remember that it was not that hard. Like, I think the board game, and it may be my misunderstanding of the rules of the board game, wouldn't put that past me, but I think the board game made it particularly difficult, basically because if you land on an island and you fail on the initial attack, you're fucked. And then, if you fail at the siege, you're fucked. And failing at the siege is very easy because it's a high level fortress, and even at the early part of the game where it's only a level 2 or something, I think it goes up to a level 3 very quickly. Your odds are not good. Your odds are just not good at that time period to succeed in a siege. Because it takes a certain amount of effort to get the units onto the island, and there are only so many rounds and stuff like that. Also, there may be a casus belli issue in it, where it's like kind of difficult to do without fucking yourself over or something. But it's just like, well, you know, you've got to do a lot with the Turks also in that game. So right here, I'm taking roads way early, right? Before the start of the old EU. I have to do a lot less with the Turks. I'm not really feeling myself pressured. In that other game, you're looking to capture Hungary and the Mamluk territories. All at the same time, you've got this one stupid little island you got to take. And it is almost as much effort to take that island because Hungary and the Mamluks both have special rules which allow their kingdoms or whatever to just collapse if you can win a battle against them. And it's pretty easy to win field battles. The siege against an island is actually pretty tough. And you really need a third army to do that. The turn was remarkably simple. I saw the exceptional year. I'm like, well, now I've got unrest. Great. So I cured one of the unrest, and I grabbed myself the $10. It seems like a good deal for a couple administrative points. I don't know. You know, I'm not really gaining much off of it. I'm gaining 1 military cube's worth of action and some other stuff. But the Burgundian alliance may put me in a position where I'm not really able to fight the Brits, along with the cube disparity for combat, etc. So I may not be trying to resolve this. What about this? Owner vassalized. Hey, why don't we claim this as well? We could have done it earlier. Reincorporate Burgundy. Owner vassalized Bouchon. We've done that. Either remove 2 of those or get a claim in Rhineland, Flanders, and Wallonia, or Lombardy. Yes, I have a big unrest problem. But, well, fabricating a claim isn't that expensive. What am I good at? I'm good at military. Okay, let's let's take the claim, but let's take it to Lombardy. Because the Italian Wars, man. We took the points for this. This is 1C, it's been played. We look, there are no flags. Well, yes, there are. There's a little thing. I lie so much, don't I? Let me get rid of this. Put that there. So the French have succeeded at their first goal in the game. And I'm going to move this. I feel fatigued as hell playing, what, 3 countries? I felt the same thing playing the Austrians. They had their big event at the end. Well, I ran through a couple of times. But right now, I'm crapped out every time I come up here now. And have to go away, which of course makes the game harder to play the more time I spend away. Gotta say though, this is a hard game to believe. Alright, my fucking battery's not working. Or my charger's not working. God damn it. It's a hard game to believe that people can get it done in anything like a short period of time. Now, sure, you might play just an age. That's what we did with the old EU. It took, it would have taken a weekend to get through. And what ended up happening was we had one guy bail 3/4 of the way through the rolls. It's just like, I can't do this. So we had 5 instead of 6. And then out of the 5 people we had, we played a few hours, like 4 hours of it or whatever, and then, you know, got through maybe a turn and a half or so and decided, you know what, we're not going to spend the rest of the weekend playing this thing. Not me, I didn't decide, and, you know, honestly, basically there were a couple of people who were just not thrilled with the idea. One who wasn't enjoying the game at all, and one who I feel like was doing well and enjoying it, but seemed not to really want to commit the rest of the weekend to playing it after having already done so, you know. And then, you know, those of us, there were a couple of us who really liked the game, who felt kind of boned because it's the one chance that we would ever get to get it on the table, probably with an opposed play. And then maybe another guy who was kind of, this was Clueless Dave, willing to go along with whatever the consensus was. I mean, he had, you know, and it's not like any of us were like, oh, trying to force it. It's just there was definitely in a couple of us this, how bummed out, man. But I feel like this thing, you know, sure, if you're really, really familiar with the game, in a long evening, you might be able to get an era done. You might. But with all the rules look up, I mean, really familiar with the game is problematic, right? Becoming familiar enough with this to be able to handle all the mechanisms, be able to do all the thinking required, be able to challenge those webs, assuming that you don't have any AP problems of your own, right? That you can just, you know, analyze stuff without getting tied in knots. You're talking about people who are taking it as a lifestyle game, who are playing it really, really regularly. So I would suggest that probably if you're looking at playing one age, it's probably going to take you several days. You know, it's not going to be a one-seating thing. So you're going to be walking away and forgetting your positioning and what you're trying to do. And so it's not that unreasonable that I walk away, right? I do it more than you would at the table, though. Also had an exceptional year, which they played, clear up some of their unrest and get them some cash. You know, it's kind of weird. It's like, is it that great a deal? It's too administrative for $9 and a military cube. So, you know, you can say it's 1 cube for $9 as a trade. That's a pretty good result on the trade table. So, you know, it seems like it's worth it. I think if you're not getting both things, it becomes a lot more iffy, because then you're talking about $5 on the trade table. And if we look, a $5 on the trade table, yeah, if you're not really set up for trade, that's about right. But somebody like England, who can score a fair amount of points, would not want to do this. The nature of my disappointment in the game at this point, again, it flows back and forth. There are times when I'm enjoying myself, not really being able to accomplish much over in raid. These things throw me deeper into my despair, right? For no good reason, especially the raid stuff. It's funny because this felt like it was dragging me out of that whole thing yesterday. But yeah, now nothing's going right, and all I want to do is either fucking complete missions and that, and score the points that I need to do, or curl up and fucking go to sleep. So I'm making some coffee, that may help. In English, I have a weird sort of situation where I have this huge pool of military capability. I know the French don't. I can see that they don't. If I had a casus belli against the French, I might take it here just to forestall and beat them up further from the crap that they've been dealing with. Put a truce on them for the next turn, shit like that, because I'd like to hold on to what I've got. But my cards and whatnot and the board position aren't really set up for that. I could go to war with Spain, but Spain, maybe let them get themselves in some other trouble before I try to pick off the Netherlands by going to war with Spain. So I'm still working on that continental possessions thing, and I have a subjugate. Now, to get a subjugation, I have to have an ally. Okay. This is what we were planning on here. Forge Alliance requires 2 cubes in the target area. The only place where I have that is over here at Liege or whatever. I think it's Liege. So aiming for that doesn't seem like a bad idea. It's going to cost me a cube to create an alliance there. And that'll allow me to then turn that into a vassal. How much value that is, I don't really know. But and you can see how there's a certain amount of clutter in terms of stuff like this alliance. It could be all kinds of different places. If I put it over the flag, then it's not really clear, what I'm talking about anymore. It sort of covers up who that is, which is also problematic. So there's just no good answers there. We've made our way around, and Jesus, I know I have to go back downstairs for at least a little bit. It says claims and alliances. Have claims or alliances in 2 or more of these: Aragon, Tunisia, Naples, Lombardy, Flanders, Wallonia, one place, Lower Saxony, Bohemia, or Prussia. Spain actually has claims in 2 of them. And I would need to get 3 cubes in total among the 2 areas. I'm very close to that. I've got 2 cubes over in Flanders and Wallonia. Oh, this is illegal. Fuck me. Okay. I gotta look up the rules on cube placement. So there's 6 cubes there. That's not allowed. I think what happens, the Spanish put cubes in there due to the marriage situation. I think what happens is that a Spanish cube cancels out an English cube in this case. But I don't fully understand the influence cubes. Like if you place them as influence cubes, you can't remove them or something. There's some kind of rule like that. And this is the best I can do for remembering shit. It's not just that they cancel out. Actually, the English one is removed. If they're placed by events, If they're placed by events, mission rewards, or peace terms, they can be placed in areas that are full. Remove others as necessary. And then they can also be sabotaged by the spy things, which might be worthwhile if you're actually in conflict with someone. So that got resolved there. But anyway, Spain may want to consider that if I can remember this goal. I'm on this side of the table now, so I am willing to consider these cards, right? And now this one, I see nobody is close to it other than Spain, who's over there and never sees it because I'm playing on that side of the table. Not that, like, I say it would be useful if you had a sheet of paper for that or whatever. That wouldn't actually help me in terms of in the solo play or even in opposed play, because I wouldn't study those sheets except at one time in the game, which is when it's not these pulsed actions. So the very existence of this this is the problem with Age of Renaissance, is each person is doing, things are so intertwined and interleaved, and there's cards and shit going on and everything. There's just too much interactivity to be able to recall the things you need to do. And I think that's my biggest problem with the game, is being able to recall the things I want to do and sort of be able to perform the analysis and optimizations that I need to. I can't do that in real time. I have to have that step away that like the old EU spreadsheet allows, or the beginning of the turn here allows. If it has an army they could build, that's what I'm thinking. I don't have a hell of a lot of cubes, but I can do a repositioning of the cubes. What happens if I go to war over the marriage in Hungary? I don't care about the Bohemian one. I got a claim there. I don't have a marriage there. Well, the question really becomes, I'm not going to be able to get the total peace, but what if I go for the other kind or another kind of peace? And so I flip through the rules because I can't recall with all that. There we go. Okay, keep current total board state allows for a partial victory. What's a partial victory? A partial victory is PRs outnumbers their deployed. No, PR deployed land units outnumber the total number of rebel units in their areas plus any deployed enemy land units. That sounds pretty easy. We just have to win some territory to get a partial victory. PR's deployed land units outnumber the total number of rebels in their areas plus any deployed enemy land units. Unless there's somebody jumps in as an ally, and nobody's in a position to do so, I might actually be able to fight them to a partial victory, which would allow me to keep total board state, or current board state, so I could like gain stuff in Royal Hungary or something. That's not going to handle the marriage. Secure desired succession, though. All occupied provinces must be returned to lawful owners. If the loser is an NPR, all their other wars end on white peace terms. This gets rid of the problem. If the victor has one of these in the losers, they must flip it over and score P equal to the loser's tax income. I could get a great deal of power over Hungary by trying to enforce the succession. That may be my best move. How do I win this? I need a partial victory at least, and I have to make it to the loser's capital. The loser's capital is Pest here. That's a big ask. It's a bigger ask than I thought. Could do this in Bohemia. Gosh. And I also would not gain what I want here, which is the King Albert's legacy advantage, unless I annex territories. Now, annexing territories would cost me prestige for the leaving the marriage unresolved. But that might be worth it to gain the additional tax base, etc. And a partial victory could give me the Royal Hungary stuff, It's 5 or more provinces that I have to get, but this would get me part of the way, maybe. Hey, what the fuck? We're the Austrians. We might as well, right? I don't know. I really don't fucking know. Like, otherwise, I could build stuff up, right? Well, what can I build up? I have the Central Authority, um, which does not allow me to increase stability without reorganizing stuff. This stupid spy network that I don't fucking want in my hand anymore. But I can put it in diplomacy. You know, I just don't know. So I have 2 routes I could take. I could go for a diplomatic route to try to cancel out the war, or I could go for the riskier war option. I have janissaries, that's one advantage. I have a general, but Hungary will get a general. I don't know where to find the rule for that, but they will. I know, I faced that before. They'll get a random guy, like off the top of the deck. I guess. I don't know what the requirements are, you know? It's like, you got to remember so fucking much to understand how to take a single action. Because the game's all intertwined and connected, and you can't just step away and say, okay, we've made our mistakes with the war already at the beginning of the turn. We shouldn't have done that, but now let's engage in combat as much and as well as we can. No, you can't do that. You have to look at every single possible option in this intertwined web and figure out which thing is the thing that's optimal to get you to the goal that you may not really have decided on yet. That's part of the web there. And, you know, it's constantly changing. And it's not desirable to me. And I can understand to some people, man, that sounds like the most beautiful game. Everything's interconnected. There's all these decision-making points. And there's got to be so many different pathways to victory, that magical thing. Don't give me so many pathways to victory. If I'm Hitler, you know, if I'm Napoleon, I want to conquer Europe. That's my path to victory. Don't give me a fucking pathway to victory where I'm making peaceful with everybody. But there are many different outcomes that are desirable in this period. There's no question about that. There are many different ways to sort of win the EU computer game. The board game, not so much, because like this one, it has a simple point value thing. But in the computer game, you know, and you can make the same argument, right? You can make the same argument. Well, I didn't win on prestige, which is the actual victory points, but boy, look at the country I built. You know, look at the powerhouse I have. And what am I looking for? Damned if I know even where I'm going to find it. That's part of my problem. It might be here. NPR behavior in battle. If there are only NPR defenders and they have a total of 3 or more units, they get a card. Okay, so that wouldn't be rebels. And draw a card from the top of the military deck. If it has an advisor, the NPR has no leaders. If it has a leader, it gets a general. So it's a crapshoot. Can't guarantee they'll have one. Fuck it. We're going to prepare for it. Those 2 go over. We come over here and we look for the rules on this. Because if I can discard a card and get a card, but I think I discard a card and get 0 cards. And I don't want to buy cards. How's my general? Maybe I want to buy cards. Yeah, what am I allowed to buy? Yeah, good question, because the rules are kind of ambiguous about that, honestly. Change national focus. You may now pay a thingy and 2 Ds to pick one of the new cards from the top 5, matching that. Yeah, I can't buy a military because I need my military cubes. I moved them there. I'm setting myself up for war. And I'm going to move this to the poles. And I'm pooped. I'm going to take a real break at this point. I run up and down stairs because I'm running these dungeons that take a while. And, you know, I can usually get like 2 players in at a time on them. But, yeah. Really feeling that I'm bumbling around, not sure at all what I'm doing. Don't feel like I have any direction. The game is too complicated and the web of decision making is too complicated. Not necessarily the rules themselves. The web of decision making is too complicated. You can manage that on really simple games, honestly. Those are beautiful when it comes down to it, right? When they're truly simple games and they manage this complex web of decision making, those are a sort of archetypical game, and I like some of them and I hate some of them. Like Bazaar, I fucking hate, right? Just because of the kind of mathematics that's involved in it. But I can respect the hell out of them. I don't like merging the elements, right? And, I'm feeling the same kind of dislike with this at this moment that I did with Twilight Imperium. Although, honestly, this is certainly a lot better because Twilight Imperium has this weird sort of abstraction to the whole fucking thing. Like, here, I don't feel like I'm playing a card to do X, to another player or something like that. Sure, there are things where I'm dropping a cube to do trade or whatever, but it doesn't feel as disconnected. Anyway, I don't know. It's hard to even make coherent thoughts when I'm faced with this. When I'm faced with these kind of web-like decisions, I stop being a rational person if I ever am. Lost for these regular walkaways, which I know that I need to get influence cubes into Bohemia over here, and get an alliance, and that somehow that will obviate my problem. But I don't know exactly how many and what, and that's only in the rule book. So another place, I have to make that rules lookup again. That, I made some decisions based on Poland to do certain things, but now it's back to Poland's turn, and I don't remember, what the absolute requirements are. This is just one of the tolls. This is probably something that only happens with my solo play. Yeah, I'm not going to walk away from the table that often. Although, I do remember in games like Here I Stand having to keep re-looking up the same rule again and again, one that I intended to use. And even with SFB, when I was pulling rules out of my ass, I would have to keep re-looking it up. Make sure it does what I think it does. Make sure it's the way I think it is. Because by the time it comes back around to my time to make that decision, or to make another step in that decision, I have to reassure myself. Of course, it's a whole pathway because I have to follow the web backwards now, right? So I'm looking at, okay, the prestige penalty, I need an alliance and at least 2 cubes more than anyone else. And then I have to look up, okay, well, how do I get the alliance? The alliance costs me cubes equal to half the tax income. What was the tax income there again? 2, 3, 4, 5, assuming there's nothing floating around outside, which there shouldn't be. So half that is going to be 3. So it's going to cost me 3 cubes. And I have no option there. It has to be cubes. Cubes, yeah. But that means I only have 1 cube to spend. But there was a bonus. Yep. Follow the web back. Keep following it. A bonus on the diplomats that if I place 3 or more cubes, I get a free one. That 3 or more cubes, I can spend money on some of them because, looking again here, making sure, influence allows me to spend 3D per cube as long as I spend at least 1 birdie. Okay, I'm assuming this is the birdie that I'm spending. I don't know, but I think I had 4. So if I spend $6, now I have the cubes. That's what was holding me back before. I didn't have the cubes available. So now I have 3 cubes available. I need 2 in Bohemia. I need more than any other player. I don't know. I'll put another cube here in Royal Hungary. And I don't know where else to put a cube. Like, these are costing me. Oh wait, I bought 3 cubes. That means I get a 4th cube. So I have 2 more. Oh. I really don't know, because I kind of have this, gosh, I don't know what cubes are worth, right? I'll put another one in Bohemia. That gives me a 3rd one there and another one here, which may be absolutely wrong. Maybe I need 4 for everywhere, whatever. I don't know. But that's my action. I've blown a lot of my power, and I move this down. Luckily are easy. I spend a cube. I've got artillery with me. I blow a hole in roads, find myself an occupied marker. I have fully conquered roads. Now, you know what's kind of funny? I think in the old EU, when you conquered a country, I'm not positive about this, the old board game, I think you could hit a peace step in the midst of the military, but maybe I'm mistaking things, or maybe I did something wrong. I draw a cube out of here. I wouldn't have been allowed to conquer it if I didn't have cubes. Of course, I could take them off the board. The only place I can take them off of. I can never take them off of here, and I'm done. And that moves this over. That was the kind of turn I like, right? I know what I'm going to do, and I can just do it. These other turns, where I'm having to retrace the fucking web to figure out what my actions had to be that I had already pre-planned, but now I'm going back to. That's the kind of turn that I really hate the most, although honestly, it's a close second with the trying to figure out what I'm going to do. The reason I really hate the ones where I have to retrace the most is because there's just no value to that, right? Like, there's nothing, things should, once I make a decision, I should be kind of locked into it, and it should be very easy to make. It shouldn't require me to have to go back and look. And again, some of that may be my memory and my way of playing. All right, let's take a peek at the French. Only for France, I have a lot of administrative points. Those are fucking useless, right? I mean, they really kind of are. I have no cards or anything that use them. And then when I look at the actions that take them, increased stability, I would love to, I don't have the points for it. It's an expense, it's at 6 now. I could shift stuff and make that a possibility. Converted area, I don't have any areas that are religiously problematic. And colonize, well, eventually, but not yet. So at this point in the game, administrative capability is useless. Now, to my thinking, administration is the most important thing. It's the thing in the old EU that allows you to perform your trade actions. Not diplomacy. Administration does. Allows you to perform your trade and associate, you know, increase the value of your trading. It allows you to improve your colonies, which is a big deal in terms of money, but again, I'm not in the time period to do that yet. Trying to think what else. Stability, certainly. Otherwise, yeah. I mean, it's probably the most important of the 3 stats, but only because of like the things that you take the trade element away and it becomes a lot weaker for non-colonial powers. I can't think of anything else that it really impacts. Diplomacy is the weak one. That impacts how much you roll on the diplomacy tables, and diplomatic considerations in the old EU really didn't work very well. I've told you about the flat track, and I kind of extol it in terms of like, well, it's so much easier. Well, no, it's not. I mean, it is easier. It just doesn't get you much, and you're constantly losing ground on it. Things are falling back. So things I'd want to do is I'd want to fix my revolt issue, which the way I do that is not by improving the stability, by improving, you know, the areas of my nation the way I would in empires of the Middle Ages. It's only through the overall stability, which slowly will allow me to fix unrest. Which kind of makes sense. If you think about people like Necker, who were, administrative geniuses, they couldn't turn the tide of the unrest, right? They couldn't just fix it the way you can in empires of the Middle Ages. So, I kind of don't mind that much in it. I'm left with kind of deciding that I want to go to war with England anyway. England's got a lot of cubes. Well, they got money now. Fuck. See, they could put a goddamn army out there and they could really do a lot of harm to me. I'm afraid of them. I'm afraid of them. But I've got a hell of a general. Next turn, that's going to be better. Let's do the reorg anyway. I haven't decided if I'm going to go to war. I doubt that I will. I think the most likely thing for me to do is to try to cure unrest with the military. And that now leaves me to the rule that I have, another one of those rules I have to look up all the time, which is the basic action of changing national focus. Now, my cards. If I'm not going to be fighting, the one question is, do I want to pay for, say, Philippe to get me 2 extra cubes? Now, we ran into a problem before in cube production, and I'm a little worried about that, because I've got all these fucking cubes here. And this one I can't use except in fighting, for the most part. And this one is fucking worthless. So I've got 8 cubes devoted to something stupid. I don't think I can afford to try to make my kingdom better, right? Just because of my cube limitations. I'm going to start trying to burn cubes for no reason. So much as I would like to hold him, I'm going to throw 3 cards and draw 2. I have administrative capability and military. I'll draw an administrative. I got a cheap increased stability, but it's not really that much cheaper. So the one was 5. This gets me a $2 decrease. This will cost me 4, but I've shifted people, so it's no longer that good anymore. If I hadn't done the shift, this would be a great card. I'll draw another one because that's where all my cards are. I've got a man of the church. Okay. And then I could buy cards from above, but from the deck, but that just doesn't seem like it works. In any area where you own all provinces, change the religion to match your state, or add 2 cubes to any area matching your state religion. No more cubes! If your state religion is Catholic or counter-reformed, I can gain a cardinal. Oh, you know what? Spain was supposed to be like going on a crusade or something. Wow, and they forgot all about that, and I'm probably going to stop here and forget about it again. Because they have the church, and I'm going to steal the church from them. Well, not yet. Okay, well, I drew my 2 cards. I think I'm done. And now I have to go back downstairs. Problem. My knowledge of the Man of the Church card is a conflicting aspect where I don't know if I would have continued with what I was going to do in terms of trying to do the Curia or play this commercial growth that was kind of good. So on odds, I'm going to pursue the attack first. Just because. Wait a minute. What about Aragon? What the fuck am I doing there? I have my subjugate. This is definitely what I wanted to do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That gives it to me. I discard cubes equal to the target's base tax base plus any opponent cubes. There aren't any in there, luckily. In order to vassalize an ally, both realms are at peace. My tax base is greater than my targets, I hope. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, it's the 9. So my tax base is 22. So yes. So I have to get rid of all of these cubes. Look at that. This is so perfect. Look at all these cubes coming off the board. That's just like magical bonus world. Now, you can make arguments, but and I get vassalization markers everywhere. Let's put this one here. Two of them show up here in Valencia. Everywhere that was Aragonese, and that's a huge, huge bonus. So achieved, owner vassalized 4 provinces in Aragon. Aragon itself, I have. Well, it depends on what Aragon is. That's a good question. Do I need Navarre to get this? So here's the problem. They say 4 or more provinces. There are only 4. And what is Aragon? Is Aragon the region? The area named Aragon? Or is it the kingdom of Aragon? I don't know. We've run into this before. And I don't know where it would say, but we may have decided something before. Let's look at the... Okay, that didn't. Reincorporate Burgundy may have it. No, that's just owner vassalized the 1 province. Yeah, this is really problematic. So the fact that it has the plus would lead me to believe otherwise. But in Aragon, it doesn't seem like it's from Aragon. So I don't think I've actually succeeded in this. I don't know. I thought I'd finally succeeded in a goal, but Navarre, which honestly was never really included, so the Spanish wouldn't have gotten this. Now, what you could say is 4 more provinces. This one counts 2, but it doesn't. It really doesn't. It's, yeah. Oh, Baleares is part of Aragon. Look at that. Look at that dashed line. So I did succeed. Excellent. Yeah, I thought I was going to succeed. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 of that. And I gain a claim in either Naples, Sicily, or Corsica and Sardinia, or 2 cubes adjacent to my realm. This would be a way of bumping out an English claim, an English cube if I wanted to. I am going to drop a claim in Naples. Wow, there are lots of claims in Naples. And put this over, if I can find La Reconquista. These are going to get kind of full if I'm not careful. But so yeah, that was an incredibly valuable turn for the Spaniards, well, for Castile. Now, there's a card which I'm aiming for over here, which is not discover the Caribbean, but is form Spain. Own all provinces in Aragon, Andalusia, Leon, and Castile. Have no rebels in those areas. And then I would gain core provinces in Andalusia and Aragon. The problem with that is I don't own Aragon. Might there be an event that allows me to? Maybe. I know that the 2 were not well integrated at first, so I don't know where that would be. But in order to do that with the subjugation card, all 9 cubes would have to go back out, right? Yes, because Aragon is my vassal. All this territory, all these little vassal markers are because I have one vassalage with Aragon. So yeah, you know, it doesn't get me to the create Spain, but that's okay. All right. I don't know if I went into this. There's something interesting because I started thinking about, hey, we're starting to assemble the Charles V, you know, inheritance here. Yeah, Burgundy was actually inherited, or the royal marriage that gave, I don't remember what the name of it was. Basically, the Netherlands, Flanders, whatnot. That part of the inheritance devolved to Charles's daughter, and she ended up marrying the Holy Roman Emperor in the Austrians. So there's probably an event kicking around somewhere for Spain to get this stuff from Austria, one way or another. Because the expectation is that Austria would have gotten it, not Spain. But Spain inherited it directly. They're doing very, very well. That's obvious, and probably are in the lead, although it's not clear here. Turkey's doing fine. Spain is actually ahead of their goals, but does it matter? You know, if they've got an event kicking around that's going to give them the Low Countries, maybe not for free, but give them an opportunity to get them fairly easily. But I wanted to clarify the fact that Spain did not inherit Charles the Bold's territory, and the French, they went to war over Burgundy, which is not even represented in the game. You could do it in the game perfectly fine. You couldn't cause this to happen, you know? So like, instead of triggering a war, which is what the old EU would have done, right? The old EU would have said, France has to fight a war against Burgundy if they capture, say, all the Burgundian territories and not this stuff, then they can, you know, get a conquest piece, get the total victory, and the rest of it goes to, you know, Austria perhaps automatically or something like that, or maybe people would have a bid for the marriage or something along those lines. Anyway, what leads me to discussing this and thinking it's going to be kind of weird is that the Austrians don't have that inheritance anymore. So that event might not work if there's a later event coming up. That won't come up. Will that be in this era? I think that's in the next era. I think that's going to be in period 2. I'm trying to get a grasp on my thinking there. But anyway, they won't be giving that away. And when they give that away, no, it's not going to be era 2. It's going to be when Charles V dies. So yeah, but what I'm really wondering about is how, if at all, are they handling the imperial title and the Austrian inheritance for Charles V? Because in a sense, that should take away the existence of Austria temporarily. Like, Austria and Spain should be one country during that period in a lot of ways. And the old EU did it by making Austria kind of a vassal of the Spanish, a weird sort of vassal. You know, permanent state, and one that couldn't really operate. They couldn't help Spain, but Spain could help Austria. And Spain would get points for what Austria did. Okay, that's interesting, but it's neither here nor not there. But what kind of opportunity is going to be available with a player for each of them? You know, technically, they should be, if there's any kind of agreement like this, it should be being made between players, right? And I just don't know. Anyway. Oh, and what the fuck are the Poles doing again? They're setting themselves up to avoid the cost. What are the Austrians doing? They're setting themselves up to fight a war with the Hungary. Okay, okay. Just trying to remember these things as I go on to the next power, which is the English. And I have to keep reminding myself, and this is the hat switching in part, but I gotta tell you, when I play things opposed, I forget what I'm doing quite often too. I'm just that scatterbrained. Their plan was to subjugate, but with these 2 Spanish cubes there, that's painful, man. I would be able to annex Liege or whatever by discarding my cubes, but it's going to be all my cubes from here. I still think it's worth it, so I'll go ahead with it because it is a full annexation as opposed to anything else. My other option would be to try to put myself somewhere else. Now, that's somewhere else. There are 2 towns here that I could go for instead. I can play a cube. I could play multiple cubes. I can play a cube here using a diplomatic action, but then I would have to get to alliance. It would take another cube to do things. And I've got this big pool of military that, you know, I could do a reorg and get the additional cubes into place. Maybe that's what I want to do. Maybe. Maybe. Because I just don't know if it's worth spending 3 cubes. On the other hand, too many cubes on the board has been problematic, right? When instead I could have like Friesland as my ally, which might be more useful. I'm just going to go ahead with the simplicity. I'll play the subjugation. That discards 3 cubes and gets me Liege. I lose my alliance to Liege. Now, normally it would just give me a vassal, but it's giving me an actual possession, an annexation, because they're only a 1-tax ally. And I think that's good enough for me. And I think it's time for an actual break again, just because I'm having so much difficulty coping with stuff. You know what? I think it's actually time for me to load up. These videos have been getting too long, and I think we're actually close to the real halfway point, even including the end of round stuff and all that that's going to happen. I think this really is the halfway point. Okay,